I just transplanted a whole bunch of strawberry plants, and then I cut off the strawberry babies and planted those as well. They're called pups. And I planted them where my pineapple are growing. And then I added pine needles all around the plants. So if you want to know how to transplant strawberry plants, how to plant strawberry pups, and why in the world would I put pine needles around them? Here's the story.
All I have needs, I have not provided.
I couldn't figure out where to plant about 25 strawberry plugs. I put some in some barrels and I put some in with the pineapple plants that are right out that way. The ones that were planted around the pineapple plants did better than the ones planted in the barrels. So most of the plants in the barrels did not survive our hot summer, and that didn't surprise me. But I was surprised that most of the plants around my pineapples did survive the hot summer. And they even made pups. So I started out with 50 plants last year, and this year, including all the pups that I've planted, and there's a couple of pups that aren't ready to plant, I have about 45 plants now, and I'm really happy about that. That means I didn't have to buy plugs this year. So the story about the pine needles, there's this lovely children's book that's, I think it's out of print, by Lois Linsky called Strawberry Girl. And it's a living history book. It's fictional, but it's based around real history here in Central Florida about 100 years ago. And it's about a little girl whose family was strawberry farmers. And well, back then they didn't have plastic. And I'm opposed to plastic. I wish the farmers around here would, mulch their strawberry plants with something that's biodegradable. But that's a whole other issue and a whole other story I don't care to get into. But anyway, they mulched around their strawberry plants with pine needles. And back then, they called pine needles pine straw. And so that makes a lot of sense. Strawberries were named pine after the pine straw. If that's true or not, I don't know, but I believe that's the book that I learned it from, even though it was a fictional book. These pineapple plants are about 2 years old now, and they've grown quite a bit since I interplanted some strawberry plants here. And so now the pineapple plants are getting so big that it's difficult to reach in there and get any strawberries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim back the bottom leaves of the pineapple plants. And I've also edged along the edge right here, cutting off any roots that this big guy has made. And then I'm going to go in the back to where there's some more strawberry plants, and I'm going to transfer them to this bed here. So I've got little pups to plant, and also the bigger plants in the back barrels where they didn't, most of them didn't survive the summer. So I'm going to take up what's left of them and put them here in this bed. And I'm also going to use fertilizer. This is what I call weed water. And I also have some superphosphate that I'm going to sprinkle a little tiny bit in every hole and stir it around into the dirt where I'm going to plant a new plant. And I'm also going to side dress the pineapples that are here and also the mother strawberry plants that are already established. So here is the mother plant down in there on that side. And look, it has sent out pups in all directions and then continues on out. So here's a pup that planted itself right up underneath the pineapple plant. So I'm going to cut off all the leaves that go to it and dig it up. So it's got some good roots here. Look. That's a pretty good, here. That's a pretty good start. So I've dug a little hole right here, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of this phosphate in there. Just a little bit. You're not supposed to use a whole lot. And I'm going to stir it around. And I'll put my plant in there, but you got to be careful not to bury them too deep. If you cover this crown right here, it's going to suffocate and it won't live. So you've got to get it right at the edge, right there. Okay, so you can even see that right down in here is some roots. I'm just going to push the dirt up right there. You don't want it any deeper than that. So then I'm going to water with weed water. So this watering can holds about 2 gallons, and this is a super big coffee mug. So I'm only going to put about 1.5 mugs to equal about 2 cups of water, of weed water. So what is weed water? That is where I've trimmed plants or pulled up plants from the garden, stuff them in this 5-gallon bucket, fill it with water, and let it ferment for several months. And it makes great free fertilizer. And sweet potato vines, you don't know what to do with all your sweet potato vines? Trust me, they make great fertilizer when you do it this way. So now, I'll take this weed water right over here and just water that in. I think I messed up. So I went ahead and cut these pups off, but they don't have any roots. This one and this one. So now I know to look, see if they're established. And this one's down in there tight, so I know that one's good. And that one definitely has to come out because it's right up underneath the pineapple plant. And here's another one. Let's see if I can get it in focus. It's got a few roots, but I'm going to leave it on the mother plant until there's better roots than that. I just don't think that's enough to transplant. All the plants from the barrels have been transplanted. The new pups have been transplanted. And I'm really pleased with the amount that I got. There's 43 plants now altogether. And last year I started with 50. So for me to have 43 plants this year, I'm really, really pleased because I've never had strawberry plants last through the summer. So now what I'm going to do is water them in with the weed water. Go ahead and water the pineapples with the weed water. And then I'm going to side dress all of them with these pine needles. Okay, that's done. Now you might notice that the pine needles seem to be rather high. They do pack down. And one advantage about using pine needles is once the plants start making strawberries, it keeps the strawberries up off the bare dirt. So as time goes along, where there's bare dirt like here, I will be adding little handfuls of pine needles around the plant so that the berries aren't sitting right on the bare dirt. I want to head inside where it's cooler and where I can get cleaned up. Thanks for watching.
Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.